Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Real Shot 256. This is Evening Crypto, and tonight's video is a little bit later than usual, so I apologize. Not that you were waiting for this video, not that you were staying up waiting for me to release the video, but, in any case, football is back and Monday Night Football was on, so that's kind of the reason why this episode is coming at you a little bit later than the usual. I did actually stop watching the game because the Steelers were actually kicking the crap out of Bengals. Sorry for you, Cincinnati folks. It'll all be all right. All right, so let's get right into it because there is a lot to talk about tonight. No shortage of news, no shortage of events going on in the crypto sphere tonight. Not a bad beginning to the weekend, the month of September. So we'll get into that. Just to give you a little teaser, we're going to talk about EOS. We're going to talk about XRP. We're going to talk about a conglomerate that has formed some sort of a committee, and they're out to judge cryptocurrencies as to how likely they are to be a security or whatnot. And then we're also going to talk about some trading pair removals on Binance. So there's a lot to talk about. This is going to be a long one, so feel free to fast forward through those parts and through those segments that you are being bored. You can also hit the fast forward or turn it up a notch in the playback speed and set it to 1.25. That's what I do sometimes because this is going to be a long one. We got a lot of news to go through, and we're going to do the TA at the end. There's a couple of coins, namely Chainlink, that is looking like it wants to break out even more. So we might have a continuation. I'll get into that here in just a little bit, and tell you why we could possibly have continuation on Bitcoin's 5.6% run so far today, according to CoinMarketCap. So we're up a bit from a couple of days ago. We were in the 200 and teens billion dollars of as far as market cap goes. We're back up to about 2.25, and trading volume's been 60. It's at 64,173, and Bitcoin dominance staying at around 67.4. Although if you look at over here on let's see here, here we go. If you look at CoinMarketCap, or not CoinMarketCap, but TradingView, these guys are saying they're at 69.69 at the current moment as far as Bitcoin dominance. So again, there's a little bit of discrepancy here between the two. You guys let me know which one you trust the most. I think they're both actually very reputable, but there's got to be a reason why there was a discrepancy there. This CoinMarketCap is solely a cryptocurrency index, whereas TradingView has all sorts of indexes for all sorts of assets. We'll leave it at that. All right, let's get right into it, guys. So the first thing I want to talk about is rating system to score cryptocurrency likelihood to be a security, right? So this is there is a conglomerate of companies, of well-known companies, I might add, like Bittrex, Circle, Coinbase, Kraken, Genesis. Not too familiar with Anchorage, whatever. But they have come out with a list, and they've given us their ratings as to how likely any of these cryptocurrencies is to be considered a security, right? So I do want to mention this, and not that I'm picking on XRP a lot. I can already see it, the XRP army coming at me with furious anger. And in the wise words of Samuel L. Jackson, XRP being listed at one of the highest, not the highest to be fair, but one of the highest possibilities that it might be a security. This has been a back and forth argument for years, right? It's not any mystery. It's not something that is not known within the crypto sphere. The XRP has actually been in the courts battling a huge class action lawsuit. They've been back and forth. XRP is arguing that they're not. They're not even arguing that whether they are a security or not. but they are battling this huge, elongated court proceeding that their lawyers, I mean, just keep postponing and elongating and coming up with evasive maneuvers to elongate this process further to the point where they're wanting to exhaust the plaintiff's demands and funds to be able to defend themselves. And so they really want to extort the plaintiff here to the point where they might not be able to keep up with the lawsuit, right? So they're not really debating whether this particular lawsuit is not debating whether they are a security or not. They're just well, I don't want to get into that, but they're debating something else within the XRP conglomerate of issues, right? We'll leave it at that. But this is a this is a pretty well-known conglomerate of Grayscale. I forgot to mention them. A pretty known and well-established conglomerate of companies within the crypto sphere, and I think they get it right here. I mean, look at Maker, Polymath, XRP. If you keep up with some of these cryptocurrencies, you can already start to tell that some of these are actually a security. EOS, I think, is underrated here as far as whether it is or it is not, with the likelihood of it being a security. Definitely on the underrated, and I will give you guys my definite proof for my opinion here. They are listed at 3.75. I think they should be at 5. The SEC just came out and said that they are a security, and they actually conducted an illegal round of fundraising to the tune of like $4.5 billion or $5.5 billion or something like that. There's some cryptocurrencies that I'm not too familiar with, so I'm not going to talk about them. But Stellar here, if XRP is considered a 4, Stellar still pretty high up there. But I mean, that McCaleb, the co-founder of XRP, kind of took. I know they disagreed on some things, but he pretty much replicated what he did at XRP and launched Stellar. So I mean, there's arguments on both sides that this could be or could not be a cryptocurrency or a security, treated as a security. Personally, I think Stellar and XRP should be at the same rate. Teso's same kind of rating there at 3.75. But more importantly, I think it also supports the statement and the argument that these proof of work cryptocurrencies, which is really what Bitcoin established here, cryptocurrency. I think Monero, Litecoin, and not so much DAI, but definitely Litecoin, Monero, Bitcoin, maybe Zcash. Some of these cryptocurrencies that are actual currencies, a lot of these like EOS and Augur, Polymath, not Chainlink, but Ethereum. These are all platforms. These are all actual tokens. Whereas these down here, these three, Litecoin, Monero, and Bitcoin, are actually cryptocurrencies, right? There's a bit of a difference there. There are tokens, and then there's currencies, right? There's units of accounts. So very interesting. I think this could really develop into something bigger, as to maybe form some sort of a rubber stamp seal of approval, by this conglomerate, where a lot of the stuff that gets pushed through this conglomerate as far as rating these cryptocurrencies as securities or not will be very helpful to provide some clarity for investors going forward, and and determine whether it's something you would definitely want to invest in or not, right? So I will definitely be paying attention to this conglomerate here, the Crypto Rating Council founding members, and their efforts to provide some clarity for the cryptocurrency space. All right, so that's all great and dandy. I like this. I like what's going on here. I do want to see what happens in the future with this. So great stuff there. All right, so let's get into. Let's actually get into this because it kind of keeps in the flow, right? We want to keep a steady flow here. So to go back and give you guys my sort of 2 cents on why I think this is a definite security, or it should be rated as a higher security. So little I don't obviously, the committee here was not aware of the latest news with EOS. This is actually breaking news. If you saw the title, EOS was just fined $24 million by the SEC for an unregistered initial coin offering. A reminder, they raised $4 billion. The cost of doing an illegal offering is less than 1% of what you can raise. So, number one is this should have been, EOS should have been rated by higher by this committee here. Again, not that they were aware of this piece of news. So maybe they had, they were giving EOS the benefit of the doubt, although, it should have definitely been rated out of 5. As we already found that the SEC did find him in violation of an illegal coin offering, or sort of like an IPO, but in this case, it's an ICO. So finding them guilty, right? Now, one, they should have been rated higher. Two, what do you think this is going to kind of ignite? What do you think might happen after this? I can tell you, and I kind of put my word on it. Someone actually agreed with me as well. So this sort of launch, if you will, could this whole scenario, the fine here, only less than 1%, right? $24 million. I mean, it's not even a slap in the hand, right? It's not even, really, not even a slap in the hand. I mean, it completely misses the point, I think, here, and which, thus gives us sort of clarity as to why these markets are so, seem to be rigged and seem to be playing in the favor of the creators, right? Of the people behind the project, whether it's a overly hyped bad fiscally or financially a bad company raising an IPO, and just because the market is the traditional market is in a up and up, it's opportunistic, right? Because anything you throw out there, just kind of like in 2017, the ICO craze, when every ICO just kept popping up everywhere to the tune of about 100 ICOs per month. Same thing in the traditional markets. Anytime a new IPO comes out, there's no shortage of funds being thrown at it, right? So this fine really, paints a picture of what might be to come, right? Not trying to say that this is going to happen, but you can already start to see. Come on, these guys, the people behind these ICO projects are pretty financially savvy for the most part, right? For the most part, not to say that any of these projects are legitimate or they're actually doing something, but a lot of these guys are financially savvy, or they support themselves with maybe a sort of an expert team around this sort of subject, and they know how to structure these things. So if you're XYZ company, you're trying to launch an ICO and you see this sort of thing, it is definitely worth the shot. It is definitely, if you raise, I don't know, a few $100 million, it is worth the shot. You walk away with so much money and your fine is less than 1%. So what I think might happen is this might incite a whole new wave of ICOs. All right. So think about that. A whole new wave of ICOs, because we already had the first wave in 2017. Now we could see a new wave in 2019 to 2020. And who knows if these things don't change, if these regulators don't actually get off their asses and start doing something about regulation and actually start putting some laws in place, then I can definitely see something like this happening. A second wave of ICOs coming out to the tune of another 100 ICOs per month, right? Because it's worth the shot. It's worth the money. So to clarify my kind of thought process here is, all of the current ICOs, they're done. And they're done. They're out there. They're performing poorly, a lot of them, for the most part. 99% of them are. There's about 1, maybe 2% who aren't really doing that bad. But think about that: 98%, 99% of them are really doing terribly. But now you're going to have you might have a whole new slew of ICOs popping up in the futures, which can only mean one thing. These old ICOs, all of these shit coins that have been, created and thrown out into the market, are most likely going to probably be, preceded by, or actually the opposite of that, are going to be replaced by this new wave, possibly. This is hypothetical, right? I mean, this new wave of ICOs could potentially replace a lot of these new or these old ICOs, and why not with better technology, right? Because we've gone a few years since the last ICO craze. People have wisened up, so hopefully the new wave of ICOs will be actually better technology, better offering, and better at working with, I don't know, companies setting new ventures or partnering up with actual working projects, right? So hopefully, if this happens, there will be a better quality of ICOs coming in, and that would change the whole mentality around this market being, filled with shit, really shit coins, and just a bunch of hype, right? All right, maybe I'm getting too far ahead of myself. Let me know if I am. Keep me in check, guys. I don't mean to rant off, but that's really immediately what came to my mind is, this could spike a whole new craze in ICOs going forward. Okay, so the other thing, going back to Ripple again, I don't care about Ripple. Honestly, I don't hold it, and I only sometimes will trade it, right? But that's it. I don't care about Ripple. I don't care if it does good or bad. I only care for it because I trade it. That's it. I don't have any ill will. But two things. The XRP army is adamant about XRP not being a security. Well, according to something of relevance here, a company that's got experience with this sort of thing, they're calling it pretty much a security, right? I think their rating here is a little bit underrated. I think it should be closer to 5. However, whatever, it's not there, whatever. But number two, another 60 million XRP, or $15 million, gets transferred from the Ripple official account to the Ripple OTC distribution wallet, meaning another $15 million worth of XRP is being thrown into the market, further depreciating your crypto. And I've been telling you guys about this, just telling you guys to be careful. Again, I don't have any ill will towards XRP. I'm just, I'm doing what I set out to do when I established this channel, which is to give you guys information so you guys can be aware of this sort of thing, and then you guys can make your own decisions. But if you decide to invest in something such as inflationary, such as XRP or Stellar, then you can't really turn around and sue Mr. Garlic House because he's dumping in your face. He's dumping in the market. You can't really blame him for doing that, right? So just a little bit of self-awareness, I guess, right? All right, and to cap things off with the news, Binance just went out and removed a bunch of trading pairs. The one that really stands out, though, for me is this guy, BTC. That's a big deal, in my opinion. That's a big deal. Not that they're getting rid of all the pairs, but BTC. I wonder why there's not a whole lot of volume there. I don't want to show you the chart. Well, I don't really care. I just really care more about the bit of news. Actually, a lot of this stuff is just crap. It's really just the cream of the shit. Really, the cream of the shit coins. Nothing really to be alarmed about except for BTC here, right? And immediately I saw people talking about how CZ and Justin Sun may not have that great of a relationship because, again, remember, if you think back to the first announcement of Justin Sun's meeting or luncheon with Mr. rat poison himself. You know who I'm talking about. He pretty much declined the invite from Justin Sun, saying he could not. I mean, right away he came out and said, "I cannot. I'm not going to be part of that." I, some say there's something behind that. There maybe CZ knows something that we didn't know, and then you see how it played out, how the whole thing played out, and he didn't. The luncheon ended up not happening. Kind of leads you to think, yeah, I mean, there's some logic behind that. There's some reasons why CZ obviously wouldn't want to join Justin Sun, because he can be a bit shady. He can be a bit just over the top and just a little bipolar, I guess, and didn't want to associate himself with that. And then you see the sort of action here, kind of going out. Not I don't want to say going after, but I mean, there's something to it, right? Delisting BTT here for one of its what seems like one of its biggest pairings, right? BTT BTC. Anything BTC is really a big pairing, right? So I don't know. Is there something to it? You guys let me know down at the bottom. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. All right, so we'll wrap this up. Let's get into the charts now and start talking some actual cryptocurrency and some TA. If you're here so far, please definitely like the video if you're getting something out of it. Also, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button right now and also hit the notification bell, so that way you stay abreast of all of these videos that I'm putting out, and you get the notifications whenever they do come out. And that would do me a huge honor for you to be part of this community. So, all right, so let's get into the charts. Let's talk about Bitcoin here first. Now, the first thing that I do want to mention here, we're on a 4-hour. The first thing I do want to mention here is we did actually confirm some bullish divergence here. So the first thing here, look at this bottom here, and then look at this bottom here, right? So we have a higher low, but then we have a lower low, right? Some bullish divergence here, and we actually see it playing out, right? And then the first sign, the very first sign, it's not an official bullish engulfing candle, but it's darn as close as you can get to a bullish engulfing, right? So we did see it bottoming out here, right where my cursor is at the bottom here, where the stochastic RSI down at the bottom is. So that is a higher low on the RSI, but then creating again a lower low on the price action. So bullish divergence there, and then followed immediately by this what seems to be as close as you can get to a bullish engulfing candle, and then we did get continuation. Now we are on the 4-hour. As long as we were opening and closing some 4-hour candles above the 21 EMA here, that meant we could continue the run, and we actually did. See, now we're up against this area of previous support is now acting as resistance. Now, these lines here are there, guys, from several videos ago. So if you want to fact check me, feel free, go back and watch my videos so you can see where I'm placing my areas of resistance. I've already actually got out of some position. I placed some sell orders up here, up until the 55 here. Actually, I told you guys up until about 87.50. Here's my last sell order right here, right where my cursor is, 87.50. That's where my last sell order is, because there is a possibility that we could wick above the 55. But as of right now, here is where the point where we pivot and we kind of take a step back and we reanalyze and think, okay, what's going on, right? We have to reassess from this point. If we do get above the 55 on the 4-hour and start opening and closing these candles here, then I can start thinking about continuation. But if we get rejected off the 55, even if we just open, even if this candle goes above the 55 and it closes there, that doesn't mean anything yet to me. We need to open and close several 4 hours, at least 2 or 3 above the 55 here before we can think about continuation and actually coming up to test the 89. But thus far, I do think we're going to retest the 55 here, and I've got some sell orders in these areas, right? And look at this. I mean, we've got the 55, and we've got this previous area of support here acting as resistance. I didn't switch these around, but I probably should, so you guys can be with me on these and set your areas of resistance as well. This will help you kind of determine where some resistance might be coming in, and where you might want to sell some or place some sell orders, right? Just like I did. Sell order right here already hit. I had one at 84.25, another at 84.90, and we're currently at 84.41. But the high of this, I think it hit it, right? 8,500. Yeah. So I've got a couple more, like I said, all the way up to 87.50. Not financial advice. I'm just telling you what I'm doing, and it's working out so far. Okay. So you can do whatever you guys want. Maybe you have a different strategy. Let me know down at the bottom, and let me know. So at this point, now to go back and look at the macro picture, right? We came down. We came away from the previous formation here. This sort of symmetrical wedge here, or symmetrical triangle, however you want to call that. And then we broke down with some realistically with some volume here. And just to give you a reference point here, look at this big drop here. Look at the amount of volume behind it, right? Look at this big move here, big drop from the all-time, from the yearly high. Look at this sort of volume here, right? Plenty of volume to go with it. This move, a little bit less volume, but look at how high we got into this. I mean, almost as big as this move here, right? So that leads me to believe that this was actually a correction, right? This was a due correction, right? This is confirmed now. This is a confirmed move. Now, what's happening here? We're still trading within this range here. We're still trading in here, and running into some major resistance, as we did see. Once we broke down that line on the way down, look at it. I mean, here's a pivot high, pivot low, and we're back up to that pivot high here within this range here. So if we do break above it again, if we that could mean that we could actually come back and break above the 55, right? So let's be on the lookout for that. But if it does reject, we still have the 21. We might have a new range, right? We might keep trading between the 21 here and the 55. Now, here's another thing that's going on that kind of gave us sort of the confirmation that this might have been a breakout, right? We did have this line of descending resistance here, and we also have this bottom line of support down here from this point to this point, right? And we did have a breakout out of this formation, as you've heard me say in this channel in the past. Once you see 1, 2, 3, 4 times, it was tested at least 4 times, right? And then we finally broke out as this resistance started to get weaker and weaker, and we got a little bit of volume behind it, some buying volume there, and then we did break out of there. Now we've opened and closed some 4-hour candles above the 21. It is now acting as resistance. We've actually tested back to back here on the 4-hour, and staying above it is a good sign. Now we're trading within the 55. Well, actually, let's really narrow it down. We're trading within the 21 here, and this previous area of support now acting as resistance, right? So that's currently where we're at. I think I do want to change this to red to indicate our resistance level there. All right. So okay. So we're expecting this to continue up to the 55, and then we'll reassess from there. As I said, the macro trend is still in play. This move from this big triangle here is still pretty much in play, right? We do have this previous area of support that's coming in here from back here. Now, I don't know if this is actually going to hold on the way down. So, but I am putting it in here just to test it. I'm running a test myself, so I don't know. Don't take this as holy grail, right? Because I don't know if this is going to hold on the way down. All right. So that's the bearish scenario. The bearish scenario is still very much in play. This could still happen, especially because we haven't really broken out of this trend, right? I mean, we're still within a range here that has been established after the dip. Every move will set some parameters, some expected ranges, or whatever you want to call it, or however you want to address that. But we haven't really broken out with a massive move to the upside to correct. Now, as I told you guys before, if we were to go back around above 87.50, I kind of started to change my mind. Where's 87? Right here, right there. If we start opening a daily above that area, then I start to get a little bit more bullish on this. But as of right now, we still have plenty of work to do. Again, if we open or at least close above it, and then we stay above it on the next daily candle, then we could say that, hey, something's going on here. So again, put a sticky note on your monitor, on your desk, or wherever you're trading, maybe on the back of your phone. And 87.50 is your first marker here. 87.50. Again, if we can move above that on the daily, then that's when I started to turn my head around. But other than that, this is still in play, right? Because if we do reject off the 55 and come back down and retest this area here, and we lose it, we could again come back and continue our way down to the 618 at 7,200, the low 7,000s, which a lot of people are convinced this is going to happen. And there's, again, I always consult with other traders. There's some guys some phenomenal guys out there that do Elliott wave that are calling for this to be like a C wave, a retracement wave. I don't get into Elliott wave, so I'm not the right person to explain this to you guys. But I will make a recommendation. You guys can check out Crypto 99 and Theo. He's a great guy when it comes to Elliott wave. He does some great technical analysis based on that. So if you guys want to check him out, Crypto 99. His name's Theo. Check him out. And he doesn't even know that I'm doing this. So we might, if we do get a rejection off the 55 here, where the 0.5 is coming in at, we could again come back and obviously, first of all, retest 7,800. If we break that, we could definitely come back and make a stop here at the 618 at 7,200. And then if we do get to 7,200, this becomes even more likely, right? This bottom area here becomes even more likely, and things start to get a lot more bearish. And then certainly we could see it actually finishing the move right around where the 786 is coming in at, this measured move. So I do believe that this is, if this happens, I mean, this is definitely something that TA is calling for. The measured move is being played out right here, pointing at the 786 as a final stop, and then having a nice bounce off there. A lot of buyers, you betcha, a lot of buyers are going to come in at that area. If that area gets violated or we puncture through that on the way down, then obviously this next line of support is going to come in at 41.94. But if we get to that point, then I do believe Tone Vase has been calling it right at that point, because again, if we do get to 4100, it's very likely. It's unlikely that we get there, but if we do, it's very likely that we actually come back and retest the previous low at 3100. Right. So that is the ultimate bearish case scenario for you guys. Again, that's not where I'm putting my money at all, lower than this 786. That's kind of where I am looking at this as a real possible move, as something that is realistic in the future, in the near future. But again, that's kind of where my thought process will end. And then again, we should see a big bounce off of there. All right. So that's on the 4 hour. We did get a close of the daily candle here not that long ago. Let's go and see where we're at. Right. So, yeah, I mean, we haven't really made any significant moves, right? Again, the daily is still being rejected by this 30 simple here. Let's actually get rid of some of these lines. Being rejected by the 30 simple. We're below the 200 here on the EMA. And again, right around 87.25, 87.50. If we start to close some daily candles above that area, then I do again start to change my mind. The 200 has always been a great reference point in the past. Whenever we're below it, we're below it. We're being rejected and being controlled by the 200. But once we get above it, it's pretty clear skies after that. So, you know, it's only fair that we make the assessment that as long as we're below this 200 here on the daily, then you know we're still within this sort of range here, right? This sort of we're still within this bearish move, this bearish correction here. All right. Okay, so like I said, mark that on your calendars, mark it on your phones, your monitors, wherever you want. Just leave that as your next price point, your next target. All right, we're not doing too bad. We're 8,400 right now, not too shabby by the likes of Binance. All right, let's get into some altcoins. Let's look at Link. I do like what I see in Link. Let's go to the 4-hour. Start there. Now let's look at this. Right. This pivot here is where I'm setting my eyes on, and the 200 again. 200. Now we've seen a very good move, very good reaction off of this low, this pivot low here, and just continuation there. And then we did see Bitcoin having a bounce as well. Ethereum did have a nice bounce. We'll talk about that here in just a moment. Let's just call it from body to body, right? 14% off of this low. Not too bad. And here's what I'm looking at. The 200 and this previous pivot here is coming in confluence there, acting as resistance. So if we do get above that, we could see a breakout here for another about 10%, maybe a little bit more, from this 200 to the 377, about 6% actually. All right, so there's still a move to be made here. There's still a trade here if you want it, right? If we get above 180. If we start going above 180 with a little bit of volume, look at this volume here, which is very steady, very low, lower on the lower, definitely on the lower end. I mean, it's underneath the exponential here on the volume setting here. So you know, don't want to get too optimistic on this run until I see a little bit better volume characteristic down here. If we do see this move being accompanied by more buyers here, then obviously, Captain Obvious here. We should get a tick above the 200 and maybe continuation there. But again, this is the pivot point that I'm looking at along with the 200, right? That's on the 4-hour. Let's look at the daily, see what the daily is telling us. Yeah, I mean, we didn't, the RSI is telling us we made a, not a complete U-turn, but I mean, we definitely, you know, turned back around. And like Tracy Chapman said, we did have a tick above the red line, the red exponential here, the green crossing over the red, which is a more of a bullish indicator. We're carefully crossing the RSI to the upside. This 21 exponential here on the RSI, carefully just getting across it to the upside. So if we can continue on this pattern here, on this path, we can definitely obviously see that we're going to come back and retest these higher areas. Now on the daily, it is letting us know there's going to be a lot of resistance here at $1.91. Let's see, $1.91. Is that coming in confluence with the 4-hour? $1.91. Actually, $1.81. So on the daily, which I put a little bit more weight, it's telling us that we could actually come back and retest the 377. And voila, here you go. TA. It's actually doing something, right? It's actually working. So this would be true. This would definitely be true. So if we get above this 200 and start closing some significant candles like a 4-hour, we're still in for another 6.5% move, right? Okay. The 4-hour is actually very bullish. The bulls are in control right now, which is a great sign. We did have a bounce off of 21 here and some conviction. Although the volume, so here's the thing, right? We keep going back to this. I don't like this. I think by the looks of this right now, the bulls are in control. But look at this. Look at this volume or lack of volume here. So this might lead me to believe that we could actually fizzle out here pretty soon, right? This could be an actual rejection, and we come back and retest some lower prices before we can say that we're going to come back and retest. The 2-hour is not telling us where we got rejected. Let's see if the 3-hour tells us. Nope. Let's look at the 1-hour. One of these has got to get it right. Nope. Nothing. So So yeah, be careful with this. I don't know if we do get continuation based on this volume signature here. And let's see. Yeah, everything looks kosher there. Everything looks good except for the volume, right? So just you know, in my opinion, again, unless something changes with the volume, this could be the end of this run, right? But there's always the contingency that if Bitcoin keeps on running, we just opened up another 4 hour here, not that long ago. If this continues here onto the 55, then this run could also continue, right? So there's that contingency. But right now it's not doing too bad. Let's look at Litecoin. Litecoin's looking pretty boring on the 4 hour. Bulls are in control. It's definitely in the bull control zone here, but not a whole lot of action to really talk about here. There's a little bit better volume than Link, but not really anything to really get overly excited about. We did break off of this line of resistance here. Let's actually plot this out. Sort of like right here, the 21 being or acting as support now on the way forward. But I mean, it just doesn't look very exciting. There's not a lot of promise in this. This again could change if Bitcoin does keep going, continues on that run to the upside. All right, but nothing much to talk about here. Really, just watch what everything else is doing to see if you want to get into that. But at this point, this could be this could be just depending on how this looks. This candle here ends up playing out. This might be a reversal here. Let's look at ETH. ETH actually had a really nice move in the last couple of days actually. Looking quite bullish right now, and I do think Ethereum actually led us to the upside here and away from all of this selling and boring price action that started late last week, where there was, I mean, literally no price action. And I did tell you guys not to get greedy with your trades if you were going to enter into a scalp, because it just didn't seem like there was going to be any sort of real trading going on. But we do see here that Ethereum did actually lead us into this nice bounce here, and actually Ethereum is doing something a bit different than what everybody else is doing. But not to say that this looks, I mean, this looks good for the short time period, because I'll tell you something else. All right. So I will tell you something else about this. What does this look like to you guys? Yep, you guessed it. Looks like a bear flag, right? So again, don't get too excited about it. Or if you want to do this too, then it looks even more of a bear flag, right? So don't get too overly excited. Now this obviously is being rejected here by the 200 EMA, almost to the 200 EMA here. We could come back and retest this area of resistance here, and then fall down to this prior area of support down here. So kind of do this here, and then followed by this here, right? And then if we break above or below this ascending line of support, then we could come back and retest this prior low down here at around 160 if we break that. And again, always contingent upon what Bitcoin does, right? But if we take Bitcoin out of the equation, this is quite possible right here. It's quite possible that we do actually reach the 200, where this top line of resistance coming in at 187.50, and then have a rejection off that area. That is really the more likely scenario here, that we do finish out this move and then come back and retest, take a breather, come back and retest this bottom area support, and then we might have continuation here, right? But just letting you guys know, this does look sort of like a bear flag. All right, so be careful, be real careful. If you enter a trade, don't believe in stop losses. Keep your eyes on it. Be on it. Let's take a look at XRP, see if it was affected by any of that news, and it doesn't look like it's being affected. It actually looks like finally it's playing in the move that everybody, it's playing along with everybody. Actually, the 4-hour looks very, very good to me. I mean, can it be better? Yes. However, I mean, we're definitely using the I-89 exponential here, the EMA, as support. But look, I mean, we had to get above the 100, the 21, the 30, the 55, and all the way up to the 89. So this is a good posture here for XRP. We could definitely find continuation here and retest, ultimately retest this 200 EMA here at 26 cents, 26.50. This is going to act as major. This is going to act as major resistance up here. We've got the simple 100, or I'm sorry, the simple 200 and the 200 EMA here in confluence. So you betcha that this is going to be plenty of resistance here. If we do get above that, though, if we do get above it, look for a move to about this point here, and we do have some confluence at that point too. So let's actually plot it out here, right there. We do have some confluence there. Let's actually switch that over to the red. All right, we have the 377 coming in right there where this previous pivot it was recorded. So on the way up, we're going to find that this will be plenty of resistance here at 28 cents. If we get it above that, then we start looking at 29 cents again. But not until that happens, right? So don't get overly excited. All right. Although it's looking pretty good. Let's look at the daily, see if we get confirmation. Yeah, the daily did not get into the bear control zone, which is good. Besides having a massive move to the downside, having this huge wick, we never actually got into the bear control zone here, which is something to say about this move. And currently, yeah, in the next day or two, we should come back and retest the 21 here, and that's we'll see if we actually end up playing that move to. What was it on the 4-hour? Let me go back to it. 4-hour. If we do end up making a move to 28 cents, right? 28 cents, just barely over 28 cents. Let's actually look at the daily, see if we have any confluence there. 28 cents. No EMA, but yeah, I mean that's definitely going to be an area of interest. Actually, I think that might be a little bit off. Guys. Sometimes I move these without even noticing, but this would be like actually the more appropriate line of resistance there. Yeah, in between this 89 and the 55, we have this previous pivot there, that and this closure of this candle too, right above it. So this should be the next. So 28.40, right, on the way up. The daily though. Daily does look like it has a lot of work to do to get into those levels. So I'm not getting too excited about this move. We've already had a nice bounce, nice reaction off these lows. We did have this area of resistance that we broke out of right there. Broke out of it with plenty of buying volume there. Definitely conviction behind the move, but then we're being rejected by the 21 twice in 2 days. Well, to be fair, this is a brand new daily candle, so can't really say much about that. What we can say is that the previous daily candle did get rejected off the 21 there, and the simple 100 right above it. All right, we might be caught in this range between the 30 and this line of support and the 21 here. Or the 100 for the next day or two. All right. Okay. So what am I saying? If we get above the 21 on the daily, then I look for continuation. Really, that's where we'll leave it. All right. That's the daily. BNB. Our buddy Steve will like this that we're talking about BNB, but I don't think he's going to like the price action here. Steve, sorry. We're not getting continuation, or we're not getting participation from BNB on this move. If we look at the 4-hour, let's see if the 4-hour looks any better. Yeah, I mean it is above the 21, but look at this. There's lack of volume here. Yeah, a little bit here, a little bit more volume here, but look at this. I mean, I'd like to see a better response out of BNB before I start to get excited about it. Here's what I'll be looking for. I want to see BNB get above the 55, start closing some 4 hours above it. That's what I'm looking for. This has been a gradual, steady, sort of just steady price action, and it's more of the EMAs coming back down, correcting more so than BNB actually making a move for it, right? So I don't like that, and we do see the RSI being controlled by the bulls, and just a lack of response here on the price action on BNB. So I'm not too convinced that this actually continues unless, again, we start opening and closing 2 or 3 4-hour candles above the 55. That's what I'm looking for. All right. And lastly, let's look at EOS, because we did get some bearish news, completely unaffected by the news. This sort of thing, I think, would have a price, or would have effect on the price, but we see that it hasn't. We see that it really has not been affected by it at all. So that's a good thing. Probably because really this sort of news is bullish for for ICOs and other cryptos, right? This is, if anything, this is not bearish news. I think this is more of a bullish news for alts and what's to come in the future, right? So could this be? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's probably too early to tell, but I would have guessed that sort of news would have had an impact on the price. I would have guessed that would have probably, in some cases, could have probably had a negative effect. But I do, overall, long term, I do think that's it's kind of bullish. It's kind of weird, I know, but in a weird way, it is kind of bullish. All right, so we had a nice run on EOS, really nice run. Let's see. Again, if we get above, we're on the 4-hour. If we did get rejected here on the last 4-hour, let's see what this new 4-hour does. If we do get above the 55 and start closing again, and opening and closing 4 hours above the 55, then this move to 3.25 cents, 3 and a quarter, does seem like it's a more of a possibility. So where we are now to about 3 and a quarter is about 6% move. Not a bad trade. And then we'll reassess from there. Yep, we'll reassess from there. This should be an immediate area of resistance here, though, right? It is sort of coming in confluence with the 89 there at 320. So watch for that area. We might get initial rejection off of that area. Let's look at the daily, see what the daily is telling us. Daily is, making a stab at it, trying to get above the 30 here. If we do get above the 30 again, continuation to test the 21, but that's first steps first. This is a new daily candle. The last one was rejected by the 30, so this one, we'll see. I mean, it is making a try at least. We do see here it's slightly above it. So as long as we close this daily candle above the 30 here, above $3.50, that is the key area. I'm sorry, $3.05. If we do get a close above 3.050, then I do think, again, we could have continuation and come back and test the 21 here, which is, again, coming in at, what do we have here? $3.31. Okay, so there could be continuation based on what we're seeing here. The RSI is again, not really escaping the bears down here. Turning it around, did flip over the red exponential here. The green is trying to get actually have liftoff here and retest the 21. So we'll see. I mean, we'll have to wait another couple more days to see what happens. Let's go back to the lower time frames, the 4-hour. Again, being rejected by the 55 there. Let's look at the 3-hour. 3-hour. Yeah. I mean, not looking too bad. 3-hour looking like it wants to get in control of the bulls there. 4-hour, same thing. So, yeah, I mean, we could have continuation, right? So 331 is the next stop. All right, XLM. Looking pretty boring. I don't want to get too much into this. I've already taken enough time, so I think we'll end it here. Let's just take a quick look at ADA. Looking kind of boring, although If we do get above, what is it here? If we do get above 0.03955, we do get above that with some volume, we could have a breakout. Not really a breakout. Maybe we're going to retest the 4 cents again at 0.0405. That's the next. That's the next area there. RSI is looking pretty bullish at the moment. Yeah, we'll see if it. We'll see if it. We'll see if it defends this area here at 3939. All right, guys, that is all I have. Again, reminding you, please hit the like button and also hit the subscribe button if you are getting something out of these videos, out of this content. Let me know down below what you guys think. If there's anything you want me to cover another project, definitely leave it down below. And please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification again. And I hope that you got something in return or in exchange for your time tonight. Thank you for joining. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks.